The movie starts with a scenic overview shot of the Great Smoky Mountains, where the story takes place. We see Dr. Rob Martin checking in on Aubrey, who has found something invaluable while sifting through the dirt. She shows him what she assumes is a spearhead that is probably made of quartz. Rob praises her, as this artifact will be added to their inventory for authentication. Dr. Smith, the head of the dig, nods in approval. They are part of an archaeological group that aims to uncover objects left by the Cherokee tribe in the mountains. With the discovery of the spearhead, which Rob positively identifies as an artifact originating from the Cherokee, he is confident they are digging in the right place. Meanwhile, we see Haley James talking to Dr. Ettinger. Haley has just obtained her doctorate degree after finishing her dissertation on archaeological finds on the Mississippi River. The doctor praises Haley for her work. She proposes that Haley publish her papers in professional journals. Haley says she is considering this prospect, but for now, she wants to focus on her new venture. She is set to join the archaeological dig in the Great Smoky Mountains, headed by the brilliant Dr. Smith, for 2 weeks. She is looking forward to meeting him, especially since she's starting a new field report about ancient American culture. Haley strongly feels this will kickstart the career she's always wanted for herself. Dr. Ettinger nods in approval. She also asks Haley if she has sent an application to the Arizona Pueblo grant. Haley confirms and expresses gratitude for the doctor's recommendation. Dr. Ettinger is glad to help her student, but she also reminds her of the challenges of starting an archaeological dig. She expresses her confidence that Haley will be able to pull it off. A few days after this conversation, Haley starts her journey towards the mountains. During her drive, she marvels at the scenic forest and mountain views within the area of the national park. She arrives at the cottage provided for her accommodation. She spends the rest of the day just taking in the ambiance of the place and soaking in the idea that she's finally starting the first dig of her career. After a good night's sleep, she's ready to start her first day on the job. Upon arriving there, Haley meets with Dr. Smith. He welcomes her and says he's been expecting her since Dr. Ettinger's recommendation. He explains to her that her colleagues come from the Cultural Research Foundation. The site is a part of a Cherokee village. Therefore, all of the artifacts they'll find will belong to the Cherokee Nation. After the short orientation, Dr. Smith leads Haley to the pit where she'll dig. There's already a man there who is shoveling dirt, but she doesn't mind him until she finds out who he is. At one point, they both put their dirt into the sieve, and that's when they finally meet. Haley is taken aback to find her ex here of all places. Meanwhile, Rob is pleasantly surprised to see her again. He can't believe that of all the possible digs in the world, he'll see Haley here. But Haley has the opposite reaction. She's incredulous about meeting him here. She keeps saying she didn't know he would be here, which is true. Her strong reaction is such a contrast to his chill response. Dr. Smith gets wind of their seemingly concerning conversation. Rob and Haley continue their petty verbal exchange until Haley tries to force Rob to reveal why they are not on good terms. As mentioned earlier, they used to be together back when they were in college. But something happened that caused Haley's trust in Rob to get broken, leading to their breakup. Dr. Smith is being pragmatic. He stops their spat and tells them to continue sifting through the dirt. Afterward, they can sift through their troubles later. The two ex-lovers turn away from each other, still disbelieving they'd find each other here. Haley manages to unearth an arrowhead. After showing her discovery to Dr. Smith, she takes her seat, smirking at Rob, who's looking at her. Rob then tries to approach her, but Haley sets her boundaries. She's here only for the dig, nothing more, nothing less. Rob respects her wishes. Still, when she's about to drive away later, he asks her for dinner. When she says no, he tells her he's going to wait at the falls beneath the footbridge. At first, Rob thinks she's not coming. To his surprise, Haley does. Shocking him more is her removing her shirt and jumping onto the water. Haley seems to be enjoying her swim. Once she catches Rob off guard, she pulls him into the water too. Rob comments that she hasn't changed one bit since they separated. Haley responds he still doesn't like surprises. Now he should know how she felt before. Rob still asks her out, and eventually Haley relents. They meet at a restaurant, where they finally have the chance to discuss their past. What happened before was that Haley was applying for a position as an expedition dig. But it was Rob who got chosen. She didn't know then that he applied too. Their trust was broken, leading to their breakup. Now Haley says she's moved on. If there's one good thing that happened after their breakup, it's that she's able to focus on herself. She's finished her doctorate, and she's starting her career in archaeology. Meanwhile, Rob says the dig was a bust. It only lasted for a few weeks. He applied for other grants, took teaching jobs, and even worked as a carpenter. Eventually, he was able to get back up and finish his doctorate in anthropology. They are now successful in their respective careers, despite what happened, but fate is testing them again as they find out they've both applied for the Arizona Pueblo grant. Haley says at least he's told her this time. Rob raises his glass, cheering for both of them, and their new start in life. The next day, Rob and Haley bring the boxes of dug-up artifacts to the testing lab at the university. There, they meet Troy, Rob's longtime friend and apprentice. He's in charge of labeling the artifacts for their authentication. Haley gets excited as she sees the other spearheads and skeletons displayed there. When she asks about snakeheads, Troy says there are none. Rob adds that snakeheads are the stuff of Cherokee mythology. Troy explains further about the mythology. Snakeheads were associated with Yunwi Tsunsti, or the little people settled there before the Cherokee. According to myths, they're magical people who do good to people who treat them with respect. After the short and meaningful visit, Rob and Haley bid Troy goodbye to have their lunch. A few minutes later, Troy receives another visitor. Her name is Sky, a member of the theater group that is set to perform the stage play Unto the Hills at the Oconaluftee Village Amphitheater. Sky says she was sent here by her director to know more about the Eastern Cherokee group, as she is a member of another Cherokee tribe located in Oklahoma. Troy, who happens to come from the said tribe, is happy to share his knowledge with her. At the start, they have this instant connection, bonding over their love and pride for their heritage, but it remains to be seen if romance will blossom between them. Meanwhile, Rob and Haley bond over lunch about their similar love for history and human culture. Rob says he's fascinated by how anthropology gives context to archaeology and how it fills in the gaps between artifacts and the people who use them. As for Haley, she's all about discovering ancient cultures, myths, and legends that shaped society, and they both agree that they have mutual respect for the things they'll be uncovering. Haley reflects on their careers, saying they'll be spending their whole lives digging up people of the past. Rob understands her point and says he's grateful to be working with actual Cherokee descendants to help them navigate this noble endeavor. After their lunch, they decide to spend the afternoon hiking in the mountains. They pass by houses that used to be the homes of settlers 100 years ago. Rob explains the history of the place, focusing on the conflict between settlers and conservationists. It was David Rockefeller and his generous donation that paved the way for the opening of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Rob leads her to the crest of a nearby waterfall, a flat area suitable for resting and having picnics. There, Haley opens up about how she felt when they first broke up. She says she was really angry with him back then. She thought that breaking up with him was her only way forward, but she never meant to hurt him. As for Rob, he was emotionally distraught when she broke up with him, even getting physically sick because of it. Haley clarified that she didn't hate him. She only hated that he never told her about his application for the grant. Rob admits he had put his ambitions first, and it cost him his relationship with her. He regretted his mistake ever since, but he never stopped loving her. Perhaps the first step for them to mend their relationship is forgiveness. Haley forgives him, as she can see his genuine remorse. Rob smiles, as this opens the possibility of their second chance in love. Haley spots a trail not far from them. She wants to explore it alone. Rob allows her, saying he'll wait for her return. Haley sets off immediately. Along the way, she finds boulders that seem to cover the entrance to a cave. Drawn by it, Haley stops to check around. She reaches her hand into a small hole and takes pictures with her smartphone. It looks like she's made a significant discovery as she scrolls through the pictures. A few minutes later, she returns to Rob and tells him about the cave she saw. But he dismisses it, explaining that there are a lot of abandoned mining caves around the area that can collapse any time. So she should have been careful. They still have time, so Rob leads her to a creek and teaches her how to cast her fishing line. The way he holds her reminds Haley of how they used to be in the past. It's not that she doesn't like it, it's just that she's unsure if she's ready for that again. Later, in Haley's cabin, they cook the trout they caught. They enjoy an amicable and fantastic dinner, surrounded by the majestic mountains of the Smokies. Haley finally shows Rob the pictures she took from the cave she found earlier. They are cave drawings, depicting a snake's head with a diamond on it. This reminds Rob of a Campfire story, about a snake with a diamond-shaped crystal on its forehead. Haley says she's also familiar with the story. It's said the Cherokee soldiers tried to retrieve the crystal, but only one returned alive from the expedition. The soldier kept the location of the mythical animal a secret. In return, he was rewarded with good luck in hunting and love, as well as a good future. Haley's love for adventure gets triggered, suggesting they should go diamond hunting. Who knows? They may find the precious stone that only exists in myths. The next day, Troy visits Rob and Haley at the dig site. He's also invited Skye to see the progress of the dig. He introduces her to Rob and Haley, who, at that moment, have just found a shard of pottery, which really fascinates Skye. She is not much into archaeology, but Troy is very happy to show her around. To his surprise, apart from learning about their heritage, Skye is more keen to know about Rob and Haley, as she thinks they are a couple. Troy explains that Rob and Haley have known each other since college. Just then, Haley calls Troy to substitute for her in the digging. Troy takes her shovel and joins Rob, while Haley leads Skye to the resting area. Haley tells Skye about Troy helping Rob set up this dig site, with the help of Dr. Smith. Skye then asks Haley about her earlier assumption that she and Rob are married. Haley laughs. She doesn't mind her question. She gives her a summary of her relationship with Rob. Skye seems like a sweet and perceptive person. She mentions that she majored in psychology, which explains her appropriate and important questions like if she got over their breakup and if she has forgiven him. Haley answers her questions. First, it's more like she'll never forget Rob's dishonesty. And second, yes, she's forgiven him. The only irony now is that they're both applying for the same grant. Things may get repeated, but at least they're more open with it than before. Then their conversation turns lighthearted, as they try to guess what the men are discussing. Skye confidently assumes the men are talking about them. And she's right. Troy is actually telling Rob that he's smitten with Skye, with her sweet demeanor and pride in her heritage. And Rob is saying how amazing a woman Haley is. He's afraid he may mess up the second chance with her. Troy assures him that he'll do better this time. Rob gives his good friend advice if he wants to pursue a romantic relationship with Skye. Women have the final say, and men shouldn't hide anything from them. Troy succinctly summarizes the advice. Women are bosses, and he should be honest. Got it. Later, when Haley resumes digging, she finds a peculiar stick with a loop at one end. Troy identifies it as the stick used in the game stickball. It is similar to baseball or lacrosse. People used to play it so intensely that they sometimes lost their lives in it. The stick is still in pristine condition and was found simply lying on the ground instead of being tucked somewhere. It gives Troy the impression that the tribes residing there before were forcefully removed by the soldiers during the Removal Act of 1830. Only allowing the natives to bring just their clothes. This is such a poignant reflection brought upon by the discovery of the stick, different from the thought of people happily playing games. But Skye is thankful that people like Rob, Haley, and Troy are making efforts into unearthing the treasures of the Cherokee tribe. She values the lessons taught by learning the past. Later, Rob and Haley return to the waterfalls. Haley tried searching for clues about the diamond from the mythology, but she was unlucky. If only she can get inside the cave, then she'll know more. Rob reminds her that maybe that's the reason why those boulders were there in the first place, to protect something that's not meant to be found. They walk along the trail, discussing more about the Cherokees' rich history and the settlers who replaced them. Later, they visit the Oconaluftee village to support Skye, as she's tasked with giving a tour of the place. She does a great job explaining the daily lives of the Cherokee tribe, from how the community works to the type of governance, which is historically matrilineal. She also mentions their version of a quickie divorce. Men moved to their wives' cabins after marriage, and if a woman didn't want to be married anymore, she'd get her husband's things and bring them back to his mother's house. Rob and Haley walk along the pathway when they meet Troy, who's there to meet with Skye. Rob takes the opportunity to tell his friend about Haley's recent discovery. Troy gets excited as he recognizes the Uktena, the mythological snake with a diamond crest on its head. In the long time since he started educating people about his heritage, this is the first time he's seen the crystal clearly depicted in pictographs. The other vertical wavy illustrations may indicate a waterfall where the diamond is hidden. But Rob is exasperated, saying there are many waterfalls and caves around the national park. It will take forever to search them. But Haley says never say never. She doesn't seem too daunted, as she's determined to find clues. The pair leave Troy, with Rob thanking him for help. It seems like Troy is progressing with his courtship with Skye. Aside from their heritage, they also share similar views on learning more and educating people about their culture. Troy shyly tells her he's reserved a spot for them at a cafe so they can continue their discussion there. Skye readily agrees, giddy to spend more time with him. Meanwhile, Rob and Haley are just enjoying a quiet outdoor lounge after their trip to the village. Rob asks her if she's had serious relationships after their breakup. Haley says she has. A banker even proposed to her. But she doesn't see herself living the luxurious life of a banker's wife. She's more cut out for the wilderness, the adventure that archaeological digs offer. Rob agrees with her. He tells her there's never been a woman in his life since her. He took a long time to heal. He knows that he broke her heart, but she also broke his. Haley acknowledges this, realizing they both got hurt at the time. He walks her back to her cabin. They discuss the Pueblo grant, which they both applied for. Unlike before, they're more open to discussing it, and more accepting if only one of them gets accepted. No more secrets, as Rob says. In light of this, Haley mentions that she sent pictures of the spearhead and the stick she dug to Dr. Ettinger. She had already written a field report about it in the hopes of getting professionally published. Rob can see that she's happy with her progress, and it triggers a longing in him. He attempts to kiss her, but Haley stops him. She doesn't think she's ready to be with him again. She does enjoy her time with him and their dynamics after their reconciliation, but she's unsure if this is the right time for a second chance at love. Rob respects her boundaries and content himself with seeing her off to her cabin. The next day, Haley visits the lab to check again with Troy about the sticks they unearthed the other day. Haley marvels at how the artifacts are still in pristine condition even after 100 years. This will definitely make her article more interesting to write. Then she gets a notification from Dr. Ettinger about their call. Haley takes it. Dr. Ettinger congratulates Haley for doing a good job with the field report. If she adds more about the recent artifacts she uncovered, it'll be good enough to be published. She also reminds her protégé to make sure she runs everything by Dr. Smith as well. Haley takes note. She expresses her gratitude to the doctor for mentoring and supporting her in her endeavors. After the call, Skye comes in to invite Haley for lunch. At the cafe, Haley tells Skye about her time at the dig. She says Rob will stay further, while she hopes to be accepted for the Arizona Pueblo grant. She also mentions that Rob applied for the same grant, and it's like history is repeating itself. She recognizes that she's connected with him again, and there's no denying she still has feelings for him. Skye tells her that love is the greatest adventure to take. So, if Haley thinks she has something special in her life, she must go for it with all her heart. Haley feels light after talking to Skye. She also asks her about her career and her budding relationship with Troy. Skye says aside from the play, she's also asked to stay longer to give tours at the Oconaluftee village. As for Troy, she feels her best when she's with him. Haley wants the best for her friend, so she echoes her own advice to her. If she has something special in her life, she must go for it with all her heart. After their lunch, Haley returns to the dig. She finds another shard of pottery, which looks like it belongs to the same vase as the one they dug the other day. She shows this to Dr. Smith, who approves of her finding. Haley takes this opportunity to thank the good doctor for his guidance. Dr. Smith nods, saying he's happy that she's putting efforts into the dig, and so she deserves all the rewards she can get. Meanwhile, Skye meets Troy to tell him about her new opportunities here in the Smokies. She loves acting. That's why she's part of the play in the first place. But she's found a new passion in learning more about her heritage and sharing her knowledge with those who want to learn. Also, she likes spending time with him, implying that he's now becoming a factor in her career decisions. As for Troy, he feels warm to know Skye feels the same way as he does for her. He wishes she could stay longer, so they could spend more time together. That afternoon, Haley decides to take a look again at the cave where she found the pictographs. This time, she took a flashlight with her to get better lighting. She managed to get clearer pictures. This time, she's confident it will show more clues about the location of the diamonds mentioned in the myths. She meets Rob later that evening for a double date with Troy and Skye. She shows them her pictures, which impresses the others. Sure, the depictions of animals are all clear, especially the snake with the diamond crest on its head. Troy also confirms that the squiggly lines denote waterfalls, but Rob points out again that there are numerous waterfalls around the park. They would have seen something distinct if the diamond was easily found. Then Troy remembers about the trail to Weeping Falls, just outside the park. Rob and Haley think it's worth a shot to check the place out. And so, the next day, the couple hikes to the said falls. When they get there, they see that it's a steep water formation, with no indications of caves or rocky ledges as depicted on those pictographs. They can look above, but Rob calculates the further hike will be treacherous. Haley has to give in this time because she agrees with him. That night, they enjoy a relaxing bonfire with Troy and Skye. It looks like the two have already come to terms with their relationship. Bonded by their heritage, they feel it's only right to create a connection between their separate tribes, and that connection will start with them. Skye has decided to stay there with Troy. Together, they will pursue higher education in their respective careers. Troy will take an MBA in archaeology, while Skye will take her master's in psychology. It's such great news, and Rob and Haley are happy for their friends. It's also an honor to be told of the stories from Troy's and Sky's ancestors over the campfire, starting from the development of their society, up until the unfortunate separation caused by the Removal Act of 1830. Despite this, the Cherokee culture flourished in their respective places, united by their ancestry and one language. Rob and Haley are grateful for this opportunity, as they both respect and treasure the wisdom of the ancient culture. On the other hand, Haley is still determined to find the location of the diamond. She strongly believes it exists, or else the Cherokee people won't paint about it on the cave walls. She's poring over the map she got from Troy earlier, studying the terrain around the Weeping Falls. Sky visits to invite her for lunch the next day. She comments on Haley's determination to find the diamond. Haley says her body is running on adrenaline because she has just received huge news. She got the Pueblo grant. Sky congratulates her profusely, saying she deserves it. On the other hand, she feels sad for Rob, who didn't get it. She knows he also deserves to get it too, but only one of them will be accepted. Sky promises to keep it a secret for her. Early the next morning, Haley sets out for the Weeping Falls again. She meets Troy at a coffee shop and tells him what she's about to do. But this time, she figures she will do it without Rob. Unbeknownst to her, Troy calls Rob to tell him what Haley is planning to do. When Rob won't answer his phone, Troy goes to his house. He finds Rob contemplating something in the backyard. It seems like he just received the news that he didn't get the grant. When Troy tells him about where Haley went, he doesn't waste time and follows her there. Haley climbs up the rocky ledges, looking at every possible geographical marking similar to the pictographs. And then, she finds it. Just as she's about to approach it, she hears Rob's shout of pain. In his haste and worry to catch up to her, he sprains his ankle. Haley approaches him and gauges that his injury is serious. She decides to bring him to the hospital. But Rob stops her, telling her to go on. He's not there to stop her, even if he wants to. He only wants to make sure she'll be safe in this tricky terrain. Haley feels humbled by this. She gives him a branch to lean on and helps him get up. She guides him towards the formation she found. It does look like the one drawn on the cave walls. A W-shaped rock formation, with a boulder stuck in one of the crevices. Rob encourages her to go on, but she must be careful, as this is unfamiliar ground. Haley gives him a reassuring nod before going inside. Haley crawls in, finding herself in a spacious cavern inside. There, she finds more drawings carved on the walls. Then, she notices a nook covered in pebbles. She removes the stone, and in there, she finds what looks like a wrapped package. It looks like the right size for a crystal found on top of a giant serpent's head, carefully wrapped and hidden so no one can find it. Can this be the legendary diamond crystal? She exits the cave, bringing the package with her. She shows it to Rob, who is excited to see what's inside. But Haley is now having second thoughts. She realizes that perhaps it's not her place to open it. But what about the legend? Rob asks. The good fortune of hunting and love that it bestows? Haley says she's already found her luck in hunting. She took a leap of faith, believing she'd find the treasure. As for love, she'll let the future tell it for her. As she looks at Rob, she decides to return it where she found it. Rob understands. He's not in it for the fame or glory, but for the magic and honor of the legend. And it's Haley who worked hard to find it. He supports whatever she decides to do with it. Rob and Haley tell Troy and Sky about their adventures, but they decide not to tell them about what they found, mainly because they didn't take a good look at it, and they want it to stay where it belongs. They want the legend to live on. Haley also announces that she's finally gotten the grant. Rob is pleasantly surprised. He congratulates Haley and leads a toast for her success. Rob and Dr. Smith reflect on their current dig. They're making more accomplishments with their discoveries, which makes up for Rob not getting the grant. Dr. Smith knows his protege will have more opportunities in the future, but he's more concerned about his love life. He's been watching him and Haley since the first day. He knows they're good for each other, and their relationship will blossom if they give it a chance. Just then, Haley comes in. Dr. Smith leaves them, hoping Rob listens to him well. Rob tells Haley he's going to miss her. Her time at the dig is almost up and she's supposed to go to Arizona. She is told by Dr. Ettinger that her article really helped her bag the grant, but she's been thinking about it a lot. She's finally decided that she'll only go to Arizona if Rob will come with her. This is a great step in her career, and she wants to share this milestone with him. Hopefully, this is just the first of the many they will celebrate together. Rob tells her to hold that thought as he stands up to get something. She doesn't expect that she'll also get a proposal from him. Rob says he was supposed to give her the ring before they broke up. Now, he feels things are right again, and he doesn't want to let this opportunity go. He asks Haley to be his wife. She feels overwhelmed, but she says yes. Neither of them expected to find love in each other again. But nature and legends have a way of putting together two individuals meant for each other, as long as they learn from their past and move on with their lessons.